Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's A-R-A-E-L.
Came from the future by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Answers from the Universe. I'm your host, Jessica Morocco, and here with JP. Hello, JP. How are you?
I'm all right. As they're saying in this chat room, yes, I have had plenty of sleep. I, woke up this morning and then went back to bed because I have to stay up all night, kind of on Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's a bit grueling, so I tend to sleep all day Thursday. So I kind of woke up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. It was lovely. And
yeah.
How about you? How are you feeling, my love?
I was up late also helping some people, and that's fine. I've been doing that a lot, but, some people are reminding me that I'm burning the candle at both ends, which I am. It's very true. However, when duty calls, we do whatever it is that needs to happen. And it seems that the faster that we get some of this stuff done, the easier things flow. We have a lot of interesting things that have come through in the transmissions for today, and also this week has been amazing, one realization after another. We also have our Zoom room today, and for those of you from the private group or not so private group, those on the outside, if you wanted to join us, make sure that you connect into the chat room and get all the information. We do keep it open, and we'd like for people to be there who have good intention and are there to participate as a family or a group, as we all see one another as an equal. And so we'll be joining afterwards. Really excited about that. And I think that's regarding any news for the private group. If someone just wants to sign up for the private group, that's also available. It should be available in the chat room. Ches will have that for you. She goes by the name of Purple, Purple something in the chat room. I can't think of it right now. Also, let's see, we have a guest, and I'm hoping he's going to be able to make it with us. Ed Correa, and he is from Australia, and he has some things to share with us, and something about his book, Build a Bridge, is it Cross the Bridge or make your, hold on a second, I'll get the right name. But anyhow.
First of all, Jess, it's Purple Street is, Ches in the chat room.
Purple Street, yay, he's got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Eduardo Correa. Eduardo Correa, and, his ID, it says it here, find a bridge or build your own.
Or make your own. Yeah. Yes.
So
so we're hoping that he's going to join us. He has different,
Yeah, if he's in the chat room, Eduardo, if you're listening, you need to accept my contact request. This is JP Prometheus. You'll see it. Okay, so until that time.
Okay, and we'll also have Viking here with us today. He said he's having a cup of coffee and he's going to join us. And so then it reminded me that I needed a cup of coffee. So
yeah, I've got my coffee. I have these little candle stove things. So I've got my milk warming up on one and my coffee pot on the other, and I've got a cup of tea and a big glass of water because otherwise
we need our beverages.
You need. Yeah. I mean, there's a big flow that happens. You have to process. There's a lot of processing going on. So it's lovely to hear you again, Jess. So you got any other news? Anything else going on in your life, or you got any events coming up?
There's some things that I have where we've been talking about doing, and considering the idea of going over to England, and someone said something about a crowdfund to enable me to do that. We'll see. We'll see if that's the people's choice. If that's what people want, then I would be so thrilled and so happy.
Wouldn't it
to
be
over
cool?
there and meet with them.
Wouldn't it be cool, Jess?
Yes.
To get a place in Stafford, maybe an old mansion. You know, one of these old mansions that are run by hippies these days that we could hire for the weekend. And we get as many people from Andronicus to, I mean, we don't have to do the dressing up or anything, but I mean, we could visit the soil because this is a true, pilgrimage. If you know that you've spent a lifetime somewhere and, you go there, then it's like, you put your impression into the ground. You know, if you've sat in a chair in a building for 30 years of a life, you know, your imprint will be there. You visit that building and your level of achievement, your level of spiritual achievement that you led in those days, you know, say you became a kind of, a second degree initiate in that time, you meeting other people of that will bring you back into that high degree of initiation again. So, that's pilgrimage as far as, I'm concerned. And so
this is a soul group.
Yeah.
It's a soul group gathering, right? So we call it the Andronicus. And, those that are connected. And some of you might be saying, well, I don't really feel connected. If you're listening, trust me, you're connected. There's a thread here that is, you're relating to. And when I'm finding out, and I started to think about it, each one of us, Andronicus talks about his children. Meetis, you know, talks about his community. Each one of us has their group. So it could be more leaning towards the Andronicus group. Some feel very drawn to Rhodan and feel like they're part of Rhodan's group. I've had different people say different things, but there's certain ones that they relate to. So this is a Andronicus, all encompassing. It's everybody, but particularly those that adore Meetis. And, he's the one that has explained everything to us and how it all coordinates and how it works and what the different role the people have had. Now he talks about medieval England, but that was not just like 2 years. It was not just one lifetime. It was a couple lifetimes that were involved there. So, yeah, who knows, you know, and he also eclipses other time periods. He was just mentioning something today about a train. So that brings us into another time period as well, doesn't it?
So it does.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we've got a couple of, guests coming. Yeah. So I've got that. Yeah. So if you're listening, please, connect together, and connect with me. Oh, damn, I've lost it. All right. I'll get Eduardo, linked up as soon as he's online. There we go. All right. So, shall we begin our transmissions?
Yes. We also have Illysia today that we brought in. Mm-hmm. So, let's start with Rhodan.
Let's start with Rhodan. Wow, that was, already things have changed. Right, hang on. Let me just, yep. I've got to get, I've got Meetis. There we go. There's Meetis. Excuse me. I just have to get them all into the window. There we go. Oh, how interesting. Okay. Everybody will get this in a second. Okay, here we go. We've been enjoying our stay on Titania. The fields are open and covered with the memorable silvery plant life as we had left it. It is as breathtaking as a memory. I needed this time to recollect my thoughts and visit my children. I have many children and a wealth of friends. The land is fertile and the mountains are majestic. No other planet feels sturdy enough to take on the great titans. It withstands great weight and is comprised of dense layers of mineral strata. I love this place. The sun always shines here. The air is brisk at times and clean. We stood by the gate for some time to make sure all made it there safely and to greet each one as they entered. You, amongst many, came to see me. Catron entered, and so did Primus. Could not find Catriton. He was very missed. We put on our traditional clothing of rough materials and skins and hiked along the vast open field. We ate wild berries and sweet herbs. The grains made a fine, hearty bread, and we rested, talked, laughed, and reconnected as a family. You can't visit this place unless you are one of us. Only our children can enter. I know this sounds exclusive and not open to all, but we needed to maintain our place where we can be who we are freely, without judgment.
Well, when I went there, I thought it was magnificent, so beautiful and breathtaking, in a very simple way. It was hard to describe. There really wasn't a variety of plants or unique landscape. I didn't see any buildings, and I don't know where we slept. It looked like eternal sunshine.
You wouldn't remember much. While you are here, there is a little amount of memory you can retain, so it's not revealed to humanity. I realized that there were many still missing, and this is the primary reason why I wanted to speak to you about it. There were a few at the gate who refused to go further. In order for them to enter properly, they would have to let go of other systems that are contrary to us. I saw you didn't have a problem getting past the gate, but when you saw me, you saw an overlay, a dual personality. Of course, it wasn't me. It was Valiant Thor, as you know it, but to us, it was Janus. Janus is full of trickery, and the reason why humanity is often deceived. One must be in the same status as Janus in order for him to trick you. He proved to me once again that you could not arise above this status, and you were easily deceived.
I wasn't expecting to be deceived in Titania. Why was he allowed to do that? My heart was open and seemingly naive, but I saw it as a safe place to be myself, as you just mentioned.
That is true. It was a negative practice and deceitful. He has had many challenges with his identity, and we are researching some of the criminal activity you remembered.
Well, he showed himself as Donald Trump to me.
He was influencing Donald Trump and was very likely trying to readjust his face in another way when you saw him. I do see what you're saying. What was he doing on Venus? He is the one causing countless problems. We have a test we can run. Unfortunately, I will have to do it here since it seems that he may have violated many of his relatives, not just you. I have this serum. It will help us get the truth from him. Janus was never quite right. Identity has always been an issue, and we had suspected that he was imitating others. But now we are considering that he has acted as our impostors and set rules and guidelines not commissioned by us. Thus, an array of confusing and conflicting rules that further satisfied and made way for his agendas. The Earth. The Earth is presently in a type of confusion and chaos, and this may be a clear sign of his work. I don't want you participating in the ceremonies. Your brother Titan will assist you back home safely. I see there is work that needs to be done amongst my family.
Hello?
Yeah? You'll bit.
Looks like and almost like it went out. I wasn't sure.
Oh, sorry. I'll say that again. I'll cue you in. I don't want you...
Are the people in the chat hearing this clearly? Or is it coming through?
It's looking solid from my perspective.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah. It's only Skype that seems to be playing up. So, maybe I'll reduce some of my windows. Get rid of that. And get rid of this. So there's probably a couple of clickbaits there. Okay, so, sorry about that, people. Now, where are we? I don't want you participating in the ceremonies. Your brother Titan will assist you back home safely. I see there is work that needs to be done amongst my family.
I'm sorry to hear that your reunion has turned into something resembling work.
Well, maybe it's long overdue. 'Tis best to make sure your own children do not cause sorrow to their own. I must be heading off now. Tell Vulcan he's doing a good job, and I will greet him at my gates when his work is completed. Hey. Are you, do you want me to reconnect the call?
I think I'm hearing you clearly now, so I think by closing some of those windows has helped.
Good. Loud and clear, everybody's saying. The truth
clear.
serum.
Oh, wonderful. The truth serum. You know, Rhodan does use that, and he used it on Andronicus at one time, you remember?
Did he?
Yes.
It's likely to be like LSD or scopolamine or something like that. Yeah. It's a sort of equal thing to it. Anywho, who do we go to next? Or is there, you were talking that you didn't remember what it was like when you were there. It's like
in Titania.
Yeah, because it's so it's so alien to us that it, probably the days are mega long, like a month long or something like that.
It remind me up north, like in some of the Scandinavian countries that don't get any evening. It's daylight around the clock.
Right, yeah, the midnight sun. Fabulous.
Yeah. And the landscape, I remember going through a gateway, but the gateway wasn't really defined. So it was sort of an energetic gateway. And you walk through, and then it was almost like tufted plants that are possibly around 5 inches to maybe taller, because they were giants. The ones that were walking past me were huge. They were like the size of some of them were like the size of a skyscraper. They were just really big. And so the scale if we were trying to scale how the shrubs looked or the grasses, it was like these tufted plants that were silvery colored, leafy. And so you look out and it just looks like a straight open area, no other plants really, just that type of plant, and you see in between is a type of dirt. And then beyond that was these really high mountains that looked like they had a little bit of snow on them. And it was a little cool and brisk, so you could sort of like, maybe a Scandinavian, I don't know what it's like there year round, but you're fully dressed, you have, those leather type of boots that are tied up, crisscrossed and tied around up to your knees, and people were wearing some skins, and like I said, not all of the giants were that large, but a few of them walked past me, and they were pretty big. The scale of everything just seemed larger and very, very open, like it accommodated them to be able to walk around. I don't know what was beyond the mountain. All I know is they were all kind of gathering and talking. And I saw you and Kitron or Viking at the gate. And
at the gate?
Yeah.
Does that mean that we weren't sort of stepping through the gate, or we were just, just hanging near there?
You were hanging near it, and it was sort of a meet and greet right there. And the people were coming through. And I turned to my right, and I thought it was Rhodan, and it was Janice who tricked me. And I went and I gave him a hug, and I greeted him, and he wasn't very nice.
Oh, so this is now this comes back to our strange little interview last night involving Valiant Thor. Like, where the heck did he come from? So you then started looking around, and things happened last night regarding.
Well, this happened before that show last night. Obviously, I wrote it this morning, but and we had a discussion about it, but my vision of Titania happened last week. There was another thing that happened last night, and this guy clearly had some kind of mafia incident going on, and you'll see in the Meetis story, another story that came up related to sort of a mafia incident. It's very strange how it's all coming together, because I'm having these experiences during the week and visions and insights, and then we had that show last night. It sort of brought it all together. But the gentleman Joe brought together some of the missing pieces, where then when he mentioned Gemini, he mentioned that Trump was a Gemini, and then the duality came up. And the duality is starting to become more significant, and you're going to see that in Andronicus's transmission, because we have our duality. It's not distinctly male and female, but more of, there's a lighter side to us and the other. It's the contrast of our essence. And, excuse me, all of this sort of kind of plays out. So it was very, Joe really clinched it when he mentioned Gemini. It kind of brought in the missing piece that I was looking for, that kind of pulled it all together. And the fact that Valiant Thor is having a huge impact on the planet at this time, and has been, and he had a huge impact on Venus, and was utilizing the technology of Venus, which is the divine feminine, and using that energy to manipulate things for his advantage. And then he came here and was manipulating our government, and now I'm seeing that there is an overlay or an influence over Donald Trump. So there's an agenda, and I've caught him trying to insert his agendas and things. And he comes off very likable, very attractive, very smooth, very knowing, but all of that stuff, is what needed to come forward, and I really couldn't fully put it together, but, like I said, that show kind of helped me pull together the missing pieces.
Indeed. And, I was, it's particularly pleased when I gave him the idea that when he kept on saying, Trump seems like two people. And, and when he married Melania, suddenly he seems to get fat. Okay.
Right.
Right.
Which
so
he doesn't like to be fat, right?
No. So
it
here's the
doesn't seem
thing.
natural. That's what he was saying.
Yeah. So here's the thing. What my, cause I was thinking, I was having a shower today. I was just thinking in the shower, this whole thing about Trump and, and what would be an imagined conversation between Trump and Melania, right? So Melania, no, she's probably, KGB or something, who knows?
Right,
but
yeah,
she would know about this shit.
Yes, that
she would know about this stuff.
Completely resonated with me.
And you can imagine that when, she marries him, and they say, look, you're the richest man in the world. You're so in danger. Let's put another guy who does the traveling around, and you and me can have a nice time and have a nice life. Cause you're a billionaire. You can afford this stuff, can't you? And Don would go, yeah, I'm sure you're right, darling. And so, instead of, cause he's on the road all the time, apparently he's everywhere, isn't he? He's like, how can Trump be everywhere and also hold down a family? You see? So, there's Trump, the rich family guy, and there's Trump, the number two Trump, who is going around, doing the business. And he's a businessman, and he's a hard ass. Now, I don't know which one was on The Apprentice. We'll have to have a look. Maybe they were both. But maybe, it was one or the other. And we get used to one, and the other one kind of looks like him, but we know about Paul McCartney, and we know about all this stuff now. So, it's a very interesting idea. And,
it's a walk-in. It's one walk-in, and they have multiple expressions in personality.
Yeah, so there's one being who has two physical bodies. There's another thought.
Or one physical body and one being that has many aspects.
Mm-hmm. Well, a shapeshifter.
Which would fit the Valiant Thor theory that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll know in time because there'll be specific attributes. Wondering if he has a fascination with Venus and the planet and, what's going on there, which, I got the impression through Kent Dunn that that's all the gold is there. Well, who put it there? And how is it that they all have access to it? Could it be that Valiant Thor opened up that doorway to allow them to utilize that planet and to be able to, accumulate wealth? Isn't it all sort of starting to...
Yeah. I'm getting a pattern here. Hey, get this.
Yeah.
All right. In the 1930s, America said to everybody, the Federal Reserve in America said to everybody, look, the world is going to pot. It's going to hell. Let us look after your gold. We'll look after it. Now we're going to give you certificates to say this is your gold and they're, really proper and they look like money and all this stuff. But we'll look after your gold and, you can trade us back with the certificates after the world wars and everything settled down again. And, one of those cachings was, with Chinese gold. And, do you have a guess, Jess? Have a guess on the date of redemption when they were going to give them the gold back. Can you have just have a guess?
I'm at a complete blank right now. I don't know.
All right. What if I said that it was September the 12th, 2001? And
what's
9/11. Well, it's the day after 9/11 and, the gold was in Building 7.
Huh.
Yeah. Now you can hear everybody's going, ding, 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 ding. Oh, crap. Yeah, it's a big gold heist. And it's probably organized by our friend here. Just to add another extra dimensionality because, Thor's been in the Pentagon for the last, how many years? Since the 50s, right?
Well, how about this? There's different species that have different attributes. Yeah. So, it was the Greys that helped the Nazi venture because they like the war, they're organized, they like technology. But we knew that early on in Andronicus when he talked about the Lucido, right, who were the beings on Mars and were, heavily into technology and creating things, didn't have a lot of consciousness, and were working with the Aldebaran. All of that fit together, right? And here they are in Germany. That's what they do. Now, the attributes of Thor are different. Thor is more of, hey, we're swingers, we're playboys a little bit, he's got a little bit of that going on.
You mean the Thor that you speak to?
The Valiant Thor.
Oh, Valiant
shows
Thor.
up with a group of beautiful people in the 1940s or 50s when he came over, introduces himself, and, it's a lifestyle. So he's looking at, he's humanoid looking, he, kind of wants to get involved with the business aspect of things and knows about money. There's probably a trade-off of maybe other elements that we have. I'm trying to think along the lines of the way he would think and to show people how this fully aligns with his personality. He has a wonderful facade in a lot of the stuff that he does. And also his energy is in sync with a lot of the whole Semjase and Billy Myers, where it was sort of, we're beautiful celebrity ETs. We show up, we're going to sit there and share our elixirs with you.
Oh, what a beautiful picture we're painting there, Jess. This is fantastic.
Right?
Keep going.
This is a different species that are trying to enamor and engage humans. They're all, yes, they're seductive. There's different ones, even like the Anshar, that live in the hollow earth, who are the whole philosophy behind our vampires, and they pull our loosh. That's why they're seductive and want to draw us in. They want our loosh. They can't exist here without our loosh. So what does Valiant Thor get out of it? Because he doesn't need our loosh like that. Otherwise, he would have just, constantly tried to do the big power play and want to be the ruler and keep on taking all the energy. I think he is looking to dominate the galaxy, but he's doing it so seductively. Kind of like, the attractive businessman that sits down and has this wonderful idea of how we can help one another and advance things. And then we'll give you technology, but it's a trade-off. But the question is what is the actual thing that we're selling out on? What has he taken from us? What has he taken from our birthright? Is it possible that this is where some of the Cabal stuff came from? And is it with these type of beings that there was a sellout? And we don't know about it. That they just took all our names and all our birth certificates and said, all right, so I'll give you all of this in exchange for that. I don't know. I mean, I think it requires some deeper digging, but
yeah. Well,
if they can break the contract, then they have nothing to hold on to.
Something Sean said last night when he spoke with his top secret government insider, who was the protagonist of Sands of Time. He said, Sean said to him, do aliens run the government? And Ted responded to him, said, why not turn it around? Think of it a different way and think that maybe the aliens are the government. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I've got to have one of these. I've got to have one of these. Oh, I love that one.
Think about Janus. Those
let's bring
people
it back.
that know the history of the Greek and Roman deities, and then Janus. Why was he two-faced? What was it? He was using that to be deceitful, showing one side and then having the other, and the whole thing of kind of luring and being deceptive, which is the primary point. And you said, I thought at first that you said aliens, but I thought you said avians. And that's another group, this Blue Sphere Alliance.
That's another group.
And they'll probably come after me. I don't really care. I have caught them doing numerous things that were not right. And they're also in alliance with the Anshar and telling humans it's okay to connect with the Anshar. And you're going to be in for a big surprise because they will abduct you and they will do things to you that are not right. And so do not open the door to them. The blue avians as well, they tried that, their gold beings tried to abduct me one night. I was sitting there talking to someone, I felt the top of my head was hurting, and the memory came back to me that they tried to shove a tube down on the top of my head, and they're trying to extract the information, or trying to get me to forget, what I knew, or trying to get me to shut up. So, here again, I'm glad that I have friends in high places, so I talked to the high courts and the guardians about some of these things. And that's what we need to do. We need to not, does that mean all the ETs are bad? No, absolutely not. But some of these groups are coming off like they're shining knights in armor, and they're not. They have agendas, and we need to find out what their agendas are and take back, our planet. Because they had their planets, they had their opportunity to do what they wanted with it, and they're choosing otherwise. So, if anyone shows up saying, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be talking about the blue avians, well, it's too late, I just did. And, they need to be observed. And I have, talked to Rhodan about it and some of the high guardians, so. Anyhow, I like to keep people updated so that they're not just opening up everything and, being naive as I was, addressing Janus and thinking that I wasn't going to get hurt on Titania. So, there it is.
So, a lesson in discernment.
Perfect.
What was the clue? Was there, I don't know if it's possible to see. Was there a moment when before his mask came down, you caught him?
It was
did
his
you see it?
face.
Can you see it now? Go ahead.
Yeah, his face was not, it wasn't solid. It was moving. It was changing right in front of me. Like he was trying to adjust and change out of the appearance of Donald Trump quickly, but he didn't do it quick enough, and so I caught it, and then it stood out to me like there's something wrong here.
Right. So he looked like Donald Trump and then suddenly turned into Rhodan.
No, he looked like Rhodan and then started turning into Donald Trump.
Oh wow.
So he accidentally triggered something in him, and the other face was coming forward.
Because his energy.
It was really weird.
It was
so weird.
And what was that really quick? Was it like?
It was enough that you just, what did I just see? And I had to process it. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's kind of shocking, but that when they do these things, it has levels of illusion. So it's almost like you kind of feel a little bit like you're in a dream state while it's happening. And I've learned to kind of see through that. So the things that pass through into the subconscious, I'm becoming more aware of rather than just everything is here, in visual view, because you miss a lot visually. And they've proven that, through photography.
That's the expanded mind you're experiencing, the continuity of consciousness between waking and dream states and trance states and all these other, which are just basically your brain kind of running at a different, instead of going, you're going, like revving your engine at a particular tacho reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't redline.
So anyhow.
Yep. Anyhow, so they're all talking about, no, there's plenty of sound. What do people say? There's no sound. No, you probably lost the connection. I'll say when there's no sound. Shall we do some Andronicus sizing?
Yes.
While we're here. And now, the star of the show. I don't know how to tell you, but I'm more than pleased how things have turned out. I feel less burdened by what I have done regarding the history of humanity. It seems, with your help, I've been able to scale great heights and resolve old injuries. While I was in the Middle East, I decided to go back in time. I am no longer on your timeline, and your son is now safe, the one who I am left to others. It was a very unusual circumstance, but it was important he came into our reality, despite the process by how it needed to occur.
This was very traumatic and a hardship to me. I had a great deal of sorrow waking up, worried that my child was not cared for. It was all so very confusing.
I'm trying to help you understand why it had to be this way. I wanted him to have all the help he needed to grow. I wanted him to explore the world so we could speak out about many things. You don't have an open mind because of your oppression and hardships in this and many lifetimes.
Why wasn't I helped? Why were others helped instead of me who didn't do anything to assist the planet?
I was afraid you wouldn't do your work if you were comfortable in your life.
Can the struggle finally stop now? I know you have lived lavishly. Why do you oppress me?
I didn't mean to oppress you. I was much too harsh, it's true. This is the reason why the grandfathers are not allowing me to return to my earlier status, to reconnect to my earlier incarnation and work through my problems there. They're making me stay sedentary and alone to resolve the harms I've committed before I'm able to take any further journeys. I suppose you've gotten your wish. Many who have made you struggle will have to struggle in their future. It was all uncalled for. None of it was necessary. Maybe it was for our perspective of you as merely a female and someone who didn't deserve more. I don't know where that attitude came from, and I'm feeling very deeply ashamed as time goes on.
I don't see you were that way with every female.
We didn't want you roaming around unattended. It was important that you remained safe and that you were no longer a target for specific species who were searching for our secrets.
I've caught Valiant Thor manipulating my reality multiple times, as well as timelines, history, and trying to acquire galactic power.
Many of us have made a range of mistakes. You will see that it is often neutralized. One can never change the order of things, maybe slightly alter it, but it causes issues as things move further in the future. There will be great repercussions for those who altered our future without consent. As for you, you're intact, well, and have a future much more promising than what was originally intended. Because of these changes you assisted with on the planet, you have altered your future in a positive way. I try to tell you and others, do not begrudge your path. It often allows you to scale greater heights than you could imagine.
I see. I agree. It has helped me to grow and move into the direction I didn't imagine. I just want to ensure that there were no longer any further tampering with my experience.
I can't promise you that. What I will say is that the necessary requirements you needed to fulfill your promises have come to a close. I see you have even done more than was expected because more problems came into your field. That too is resolved and we will all benefit by it. Your labor was not in vain.
So tell me, where will you go? What are you expected to do?
I'm being sent to be in a deep meditative state to support the next phases of existence. I must return to my earlier aspect as the one you know as Khalib.
Wait, you and Khalib are one and the same?
Yeah, there was a fracturing among us. We separated from ourselves and bilocated to various points in time. Some did more. You see, the one you call Rhodan was once Zamfir. You have to help him also come to a resolution in his existence and become whole again.
Was the separation caused by the battle between Kraton and Zamfir?
Yeah, he hasn't quite recovered by it and is quite menacing since.
I see.
You see, it's been difficult for all of us. Janus, on the other hand, did not create the separation correctly and did not use it to explore, but to deceive. This too will be resolved. I am about to go to my pinnacle of contemplation alone. I will hear and see you, but you cannot come to, but cannot. I will hear and see you, but cannot come to you. You are now free from my requests. Go now, live your life.
I didn't mean it that way, Andronicus. I just wanted to be free. So much of this didn't make any sense to me, and I'm sorry. I better understand now.
I tried to explain the problems to you and why you were needed, but you didn't listen much. I'm seeing you have matured in this area. You will notice the difference when I reconnect to my other aspect as Khalib.
Do you change your name or remain as Andronicus?
I will remain as Andronicus. It is the name I have grown to love, and many have called upon me with that name. I love you deeply, more than you know. I love you all so much more. And you have encouraged me to be whole because I cannot help you if I am fractured. I want to be whole again. I don't need to run any further. Be in peace. Oh, wow.
I know, I was surprised to hear that too.
So what, do we not, has Andronicus written him out as, written himself out of the series?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, but he's gaining a wholeness. And what threw me off is that he was Khalib. Because I literally watched him do that. He left and then reconnected to himself, and I said, that can't be. And it was. And then when I heard Rhodan was Zamfir, I said, that makes sense.
Hey, Could Khalib be the Sultan of Brunei? You know this guy was talking about last night? The richest man in the world. Just, I mean, it's just like,
you take a look at, Joe had a lot of little
nuggets,
there, didn't he?
Some nuggets in that,
a lot of nuggets
rather unsavory pie.
It'd be interesting to find out who sent them to us.
Yeah.
People, you should listen to Max's show last night. I mean, I know you're going to be like horrified by some of the stuff he says, but, regarding Trump. And all of us, we're looking for that hero, someone that's going to come and save the day, and he felt a lot less than a hero by the time he was finished.
We were all sitting there with our mouths open. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. It's horrifying.
Oh my God, factor
it was like
3.
One indiscretion after another,
And, he was a driver, right? He's a driver for the rich and famous in New York. Of course you're going to see stuff.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to see stuff.
His terminology was priceless. He was like, yeah, I made him. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What does that mean?
Yeah, I did him.
Great to ask him.
Yeah.
I did him. Yeah. I have no idea what that meant. I mean, could be taken so many different obvious ways,
yeah.
But.
Well, look, being a driver, like if I'm a musician, right, I do a gig, right? If you're a worker, you do a job, right? So if you're a driver, you do a job. So, and the people are the jobs. So, I did Mariah Carey. Well, he said Mariah Carey said, I'll offer you so much to be my private driver. And he said, you can't afford me. So that was a really interesting way of looking at it.
But he also said he did the Sultan too, didn't he?
Yeah. Exactly.
I made him or I did him or something or I didn't. And then, it started off with the whole disco and the gay founders. I didn't, I guess that he clearly had some interesting connections to the other aspects of our culture and
New York, the underbelly.
And coming from an Italian background heritage, I was reading between the lines with a lot of it.
I bet you were. I was thinking about that.
Yeah. But it's worth listening to. I don't know how much truth there is. All I do know is that he changed his identity so people wouldn't know who he was. And he's talking about, meanwhile, my name's all over the interview. As well as Max and Nicole. So, and you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah.
What's our real name? What's real?
You've got your real name. I've got my real name. If they're gonna find us, they're gonna find us, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So who cares? In fact. So, meanwhile, who are we going to do next?
We're going to Meetis. We're going to Meetis next. I'll do Illysia last. Oh, there's no song today.
No, all right. So I was just about to reach for the guitar. Good.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. No need to apologize. So, and soon I'm going to arrange my studio so it's a much more easy thing for me to grab Clara Bell because, I called it Clara rather than Clara Bell, because, I have to roll my chair back at the moment off the little carpet protector thing and I trip. Anyway, long story. So it'll all be a lot easier once I've rearranged my studio. My lovely friend Becky was helping me rearrange the room here, so it's more spacious. You'll see it in the videos. There's more space in it.
Oh, nice.
It's lovely.
Yep.
So where to next, Mr. Meetis? Hello, my flower. I see you've returned to your previous status.
I had many interesting things happen this week, Meetis.
Well, the fairies seem to be quite interested in you. And what have you been doing? Excuse me. I see you returned an ancient artifact to them, as well as a quick recovery of a long lost and stolen aspect about you. You know, the hand?
Yes, Meetis. It was the strangest thing. I found myself in a vision observing the group of elite women sitting around gossiping, when I observed an aspect of myself as a little female fairy. There I stood, observing these women, who discussed money, power, controversy, competition, and more. I wasn't paying attention when one of the young sons of the group, one of the woman's sons, swooped down upon me and held me hostage. He picked me up, and out of mischief, he decided to cut off my right hand. I escaped, but was not allowed to return back to my own dimension. You know that a fairy must have all their pieces to return. I found myself going into the circle, popping back out with a little bag in my hand, and inside was a tiny black hand.
Yes, the name used today for underworld in Italy, or the Black Curse.
I found it amusing that I was the cause of the name of the Black Hand, but then considered how my energy was so badly used to curse others with. The Mafia, the Malacchio. I felt terrible about it. It's my fault.
No, you needn't worry about it, my love. Your hand contributed light fairy energy that was magical and healing. When the boy got it in him, it altered his essence, making him effeminate, more cruel and divisive. He could easily intend bad luck and harm on others. It was a bitter pill. When the women discovered what it was, the hand turned black and introduced more negative fairies who empowered their wishes of darkness. Now, the country of Italy is free of this infraction upon the fairy realm. To date, we have had no greater offence in that region. Now the people are free of the dark ones and can ascend like the others on the planet. You did a good job, my love.
So how does this affect me in the end?
You become more whole, reintegrating your fairy and elven essence. I'm sure you're noticing a few changes.
I am. It does feel better. Oh, and I heard from Andronicus that Rhodan was Zamfir. No wonder why you had such a hard time with him.
Yes, I know. But you needn't worry. It's all resolved. We now work together. As a matter of fact, he gave me a top hat, a brown one with big eyes on it.
You mean lenses? Like the time-traveling steampunk one like mine?
Oh, this is much better. I don't wear the lenses unless I venture to ride on one of those fun little contraptions that I built.
You're traveling, aren't you?
Yes, I've been in the future. I regret to tell you that I had an encounter with the dreaded Tectatron.
What did he want? Did he try to keep you there?
Yeah, of course. He had all the wonders of the world, all the grandeur ideas. He slated me as a promising student and a glorious Legion member. I told him I was merely a fool who stumbled upon this contraption and triggered the device that landed me here in his presence. It was nothing but a fool's accident, I said. So he leaned down to take a look at me, and I tripped, grabbed the hold of his arm and pulled a piece of metal from him. He was so frustrated that he sent me on his way. Apparently the distraction freed me of him. He left me with a message that he's coming back to take those who want to be in his reality. I don't think this is your future. It's not what I would recommend.
Well, that's not good news. Can we prevent this from happening?
Well, this is the people's choice.
But I don't believe they understand it all. How can they make a decision?
Maybe
They're interested in cyborgs, AI, and all this other stuff.
Maybe it's not permanent. Sorry. Maybe it is not permanent as you all change the timelines. The others will return and their agreements to him will be broken if you assist the end of that timeline.
Are you saying I need to talk to him again?
I would prefer that you do it over me. I find him tedious and not fun. He wants to get everyone to think like him. I don't think things would end well if I have to deal with him any future. I don't think things would end well if I had to deal with him any further. You are clearly more suited for the task. We'll discuss it later. I must go now. Dryden and I are heading to Europe for a show.
You're entertaining together?
Yes. I perform and he does his magic. He does get jealous when the audience enjoys my piece better.
I heard that, Meetis. You think far too much of yourself.
Very well. I must go. The train awaits us. There you go. Well, that was quite interesting.
Quite revealing.
So, the Black Hand. Oh, how sweet, how sad. Poor little fairy.
Yeah.
Trapped in the realm. So, how long ago was this? Like 200-300 years?
It was right around the Roman Empire.
Mm.
They were tucked in this, dining room area. All sitting around talking, and the little boy was bored, just playing with stuff. And as I stood out there, I was manifested enough, in the 3D that he was able to capture me. I don't know why I was looking at him, but what was interesting, is his, kids are like that, they want to just break things and, and I think he thought that I was spying on them, so he cut off my hand for punishment.
Oh.
And then he realized it changed him. It affected him, just having that energy. But I was trapped, that aspect of me was trapped in between worlds. And so once I got the hand back and I held it in my hand, then I immediately went into the Hollow Earth and reconnected with the Elvins. And I met a brother there who greeted me.
Oh.
He thought I was lost. So that was interesting. It was a really, really, really interesting experience.
When was this?
But when it happened a couple days ago.
Wow. Oh, that's really good news, Jess.
Yeah, it was. It was very good news. And also that, this whole, here again, the whole mafia thing coming up, it's just coming forward. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea Max was having this gentleman on the show. But, the Black Hand is, for those that don't know, it's like usually a Sicilian term, and they talked about, the evil eye and all this other stuff. And I believe they used the fairy energy to charge it. And I always wondered where that energy came from and why it was so dark. But, I did talk to someone who knows a lot about fairies, and they said that it was the darker fairies that connected, that's even supercharged it. And, so it was like an artifact.
That's interesting. One of the things that, basically fairies get PTSD like humans, because, they're people too. And, that, one explanation for the presence of demons is that they're traumatized fairies.
It could be, yeah. That's, they've been through wars. A lot of species have been through wars and traumas, and, or just, like that little boy chose to be on the other aspect of things, and as his mother was, and the other woman. I said that, it's really funny. They reminded me of the Kardashians.
Maybe the little boy was Jay-Z. Not Jay. Is it Jay-Z? No. Kanye.
Kanye. I don't think so, but, no, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But it was, I'm not even positive it was the Kardashians, but it was that kind of energy where they were talking about, everything was superficial, as money, power, beauty, and they all had their hair groomed properly and, very fixed up. And I think I was curious to find out, I was supposed to gather information about something, and, I was off guard. Here again, twice in this transmission, showing how I was not paying attention, and the valiant Thor and the little boy capturing me. So I should be more observant, shouldn't I, in the future?
Well, yeah, keep your eyes on where your fingers are going to go.
Yeah.
Watch.
Just to let anyone know, if they try to cut off my hand in this lifetime, it won't have the same effect. So I'm not a fairy now.
Well, I don't want anybody to cut any part of you off.
Yes,
thank you
good
very
idea.
much. Thank you very much. We want, And no, was it Meetis saying, that your life, no, it was Andronicus saying that your life is going to be, a whole lot better now. A whole lot more, so where do we go now?
We have one last transmission, and that is from Illysia, and there's no dialogue here. It's a monologue of, she's instructional, so we are apparently at a new phase. So pay attention to the instructions, and maybe all I need is an intro. Hello, dear ones. I'm contacting to say that you are about a time to turn a corner, to shed a new skin, to launch a new era, but many of you are not quite ready to take this next step. The key is to ease into it. Don't have preconceived notions and allow yourself the time to experience all aspects of it. The many challenges are your learning platform, your space to test the waters, your dimensional testing of the waters. Now, tell me, when all things are said and done, wasn't this well worth it? There is a sense of freedom up ahead. It is a freedom you have not experienced up until this time. We want you to know that you are loved. We have been waiting for you. You are the ones you have been waiting for. It is your success. You are ascending higher to the higher thread of being. It is thin and narrow but vast. The words, the terms are incomprehensible and not readily available for description within your vocabulary. Hold on a moment. Here is a user guide to help you to better acclimate your knowing. Number 1. Set the internal clock back 2 notches. Number 2. Allow it to resync within you for a few days, specifically 2 days. Number 3. Then reset your internal clock once again. At this juncture, you will notice that the hands on the clock have a bit of play on it and less rigid. Number 4. Allow any uninvited guests, parasites, amoebas, entities, corrupted molecules to be removed. It will appear as a suction or a vacuum effect. There now. Isn't this a clever practice? And how wonderfully clean you will feel. Now be sure to button up your essence, to not leave any gaping entry points for other uninvited guests to enter. Number 5. Now the process of mending one's attributes is next. There is a tactile object that will assist you to correct any broken elements of your essence. It may appear as a wand, but it is a metal alloy that is comprised of healing energetics to correct your broken pieces. Oh, not to worry. We will be on it straight away. Wave the metallic wand by your throat, the larynx area, then down by your solar plexus. Allow the tactile object to merge into your essence and release it to find the membranes, broken strands of DNA, electrons, and other mechanical functions within your system that will easily be repaired. Now place your hand over your solar plexus and you will get the impression of the wand being returned back into your hand. Then release it back up to your higher self for future maintenance features. Please follow instructions carefully. Wait 2 days before embarking upon the second process. This will clear and correct any problems within your etheric essence. This does not imply you are robotic. but all living things are set upon functions and features. Well now, there have you a plenteous, abundant self, brimming with wholeness and wellness. I'm so pleased with all of you. Farewell for now, and until the next adjustment that you are ready for, please maintain your etheric body and be mindful of it, as it is more crucial and valuable than your physical vessel is, or as you say, your body. The light, virtue, bounteous and plenteous shall rise and adorn you. Stargate 12 is now closed.
Wow. Yes, I see what you mean about instructional. It's like,
Yeah.
you step out, you undo the jacket of your, it's like taking your jacket off and put it back on again. Something like that. Dusting yourself down or having it washed. Fabulous.
Yeah. She's doing the etheric maintenance that I guess that we knew at one time, but Scott, maybe.
Well,
the other one was the cabinet. Remember the cabinet?
The cabinet?
But she had a...
God, remind me. Sorry about you. Do you want to take a sip?
No, I'm fine.
Sorry, okay.
Do you remember the last one where she told us to open and find it looks like a cabinet within our torso, and open the door and then remove anything that doesn't belong there. She did the cabinet before, and now she did this practice with the etheric body.
Well, this is something that somebody could, this is a little exercise for somebody in editing, and clip these bits out of the healing messages from Illysia. Where is she from? What's her origin?
I forget. I think in the first, I can take a look, and I believe she's in,
yeah, I can have a look there.
the first one of Illysia. Let's see.
Illysia 1, there we go. Alright, I'm visiting you beyond the stars of Sirius A and B. Our light is subtle but consistent, and our reach is very much across your planet. Okay, so she's, she's a Syrian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But not the ones that we've really dealt with a lot. I think she's in the 12th D, it looks like. Stargate 12.
Yeah. I'm sure that's people are gonna, Stargate 12, that will be quite an interesting, response from her, really. So, that was quite magical. Yeah. Shall we take a break with Tommy James?
Yes.
Do you want to, also, you've been picking up some really fab music, I have to say. I really enjoyed it. Maybe you'll tell a story of that after the break.
Okay.
We'll be
Sounds
back.
good. And if we can get Ed, Korea, that'll be great too.
That's right. That's
and
what
Viking.
we can do.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
So, welcome back.
Okay, so we're back on the show. Hello, Viking. How are you?
Hey, Jessica, doing okay. Thank you.
Well, that's great. So, see that you got your coffee. I got my coffee. So we're waiting to bring in, Ed, Korea, and I'm not sure if he's available at this time. I know that there's a difference in time, and maybe something came up, and that's fine. We can sit here and talk about, whatever's on our mind at this point. JP was commenting on the music that I brought in, bring us back to the end of the 60s. I don't know if you're familiar with the music. I'm sure you are.
Absolutely. I was about 14, 15 back in the late 60s, but totally, hearing all of this on AM radio, back in my area. The station was in San Francisco. It's called KFRC. And we got all all this beautiful revolution music over AM band.
Yeah, I remember hearing it, and I was too young to really be listening to it, but kind of heard the after effects of it later, and I was like, this is really great music. And kind of, more of like in between the 50s, which I thought was a little bit on the corny side, and then the 70s kind of got a little bit too mellow, but it was fun. I mean, I really love the 70s. I mean, those are my early years. But then it went up to the, started getting into rock and roll, and then it was disco and all these other things. So, I enjoyed all of it, and it was almost like a revival to find this. Anyhow, were you, listening to the show at all?
Oh, yes.
The earlier part.
Yes, I was.
What did you think about what Illysia had to say, or anyone else that you wanted to?
Well, Illysia was pretty much advanced. I mean, she her techniques of opening up the various chakra bands and trying to kind of reintegrate our essential subtle bodies and strengthening our telomeres. Our telomeres are what connects our crucial DNA markers of who we are, have been fragmented and replaced with DNA markers that have through the years have been controlling us. It's all about signaturing, it's all about programming and codexing, and these markers are now, as they start to get reintegrated, they need to be strengthened. They need to be brought appropriately back online. So these techniques are there to consciously, again, healing is about bringing it to your conscious awareness. It's very simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or an advanced heat healer or a psychic to heal your body. It's bringing that which is unresolved, all your residue, into your conscious awareness. This is why we speak it. This is why we write it. But by doing this, it integrates back into our being as one. And then by doing this, we then start to reintegrate our genetic markers that are true to who we are by replacing genetic markers that are not who we are, not serving us. This is also brought up elements in our lives that no longer serve us, which is really what it is appropriate at this time. This is what this density shift is creating. It's creating an avenue for us to, do some genetic house cleaning, because only then can we, begin this process of so-called ascension, which is not really ascension. It's really waking up, because we are already ascended beings. We are waking up to our potential. And being able to have this higher potential for humanity begins with our individual efforts. And then we coalesce as a human race, as humanity, to create the highest potential for humanity. But it begins within. It begins with this process of reunification and becoming aware. When you talk about going towards the light or being in the light or light energy, that's just an understanding. Being able to channel your higher state of being and integrating into your lower state of being as one, and being able to know that we are not this subjugated essence of this dark humanity that was procreated through our pain and suffering, but we are of the light. And it's pretty essential at this time.
I think it is as well. I think we're learning a lot, and the one thing that Illysia did for me is she reminded me that we don't pay a lot of attention to our etheric body as something that needs to be cleared and altered in some way, or adjusted. So that part I found was very interesting.
Can I also, can I just
And,
bring up one thing that I just had this thought flash in my head while I was in the kitchen listening to you two. And it was a
sure.
really, really important point. In the story of the hand, Meetis mentions, or you mention, that you can't go back to your realm unless you've got all your parts. So if you had the missing hand, that prevented you from going back to your realm. Which means that you can't change dimensions. We can't ascend until all of our parts are connected together. And this is why it's important for us to get our parts together, because we can't go through unless we've got all our parts together, because that's part of the universal rules. How can you exist in the two dimensions? You have to move through all at once. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really, really seriously important point as to why we need to do the soul retrieval is because we need to bring all of the fragments that have been made deliberately, consciously and unconsciously and unfairly and all of this. And again, there's another nugget that has been coming through the last couple of days, and I was talking with my dear friend last night about that, is the idea that all of the trauma that we've had, and this comes back to the conversation you had with Illysia, all the trauma that you've been through is a training. So it's a simple change of attitude from trauma to training, rather than from being a victim to becoming a contestant, somebody who's, strong enough to take on the challenge, as we all are, but we're just convinced we're kind of weak and fragile. And that is the attitude change we need to shift into when we move through. We need to move through whole, and we need to move through knowing that we've trained ourselves to do this, and that we are competent because we are confident because we are competent, because we're complete. How about all that?
That makes a lot of sense to me. And, you find that people are opening up spiritually, and, as people see me as a reader and they see the after result, but they don't realize that I spent probably about 5 years doing Akashic record readings for myself, clearing all past lives, working on karma, working on relationships from my early childhood, working on, just trying to clear the whole board, clear the slate. And you think, well, why did you have to do all of that? Well, because it felt more whole. And then how can I help anyone if I'm not whole, if I'm not working in my space as I should? How can I actually reach out to others? And there's too many people jump in and want to be a healer, to want to do energy work, and they haven't healed themselves yet. And so as they're working with others, things keep coming up and creating problems in their life. And I just had conversations with a few of my friends. But the other aspect is we're doing this because we're pulling ourselves together, and we're even seeing that as this transition is being made, as it is above, so it is below. These beings like Andronicus, who's, clearly can traverse, many dimensions and time space. And he even still needed to heal the traumas of just going from one place to the next as a journeyman. Remember, that was his original turn. And even Rhodan needed to sort of get away and be with family and be in that space where he was able to, feel like he could relax, almost like a little vacation. So I find this all very interesting because they're kind of pulling everything together and coming to a place of peace.
What's interesting here is you talked about the black hand or the hand that's been replicated in a lot of these tribal histories, especially the Romano. The Gypsies have that culture, and just the trauma shock of having the hand cut off bears the mark of trauma. And of course the PTSD and shock of that energy then being used in magic is really horrific, and it has been done and used and still is being used to this day. As you pointed out, to become whole again is just to retrieve and to heal that trauma we've done our own selves. Andronicus had pointed out that we're helping him, to heal his timelines and to become whole again. He used those words, become whole again. And what I'm seeing here is a DNA patterning in our truest essence and truest self has extreme polarity, extreme power. But what has happened here in the subjugation of humanity, we have fragmented ourselves into our own isolated DNA strands of PTSD, of this disconnection, of this distortion of our resonant, of our understanding, of our connection. It's become isolated. We've been divided and conquered, as we mentioned so many times before. And atoning ourselves to the highest good for humanity is actually a reunification of all these separated timelines and DNA strands that we have managed to fragment, coming back into one. And what I'm seeing recently is that it is actually reclaiming a commonality in DNA is what's going to unite us as a conscious being on this planet with our individual signatures of passion and love, which adds to the greater good of the whole, which adds to this solidarity. It adds to this, divine lifestyle as we start getting more creative and more spontaneous to our sovereign right. And it also, as pointed out, then helps the galactics to retrieve their soul shards or their fragmented beings, because they're entangled with us. So as we start to heal ourselves and become one and start to strengthen our DNA and actually create this super deep DNA, we heal, as we all said, Sharon, we heal the planet, we heal the galaxy, we heal the universe. We are all healing as one here. And they're counting on us to carry this banner forward.
I could see that. And it's interesting because it was a theme and I had no idea that it was a theme, but it's becoming quite evident that they're taking us on to that next portion. According to Illysia, we're at a new juncture. We're at a crossroad, a good one. That means that we've surpassed whatever it is that we needed to learn, and we're ready to go on to the next level. I found that exciting. And I believe that everyone can actually, in some way have their own celebration because you've achieved it. We've gone to the next level that was necessary for ascension that had not been achieved ever before for humanity. So all of these things, the strangeness in our governments, the strangeness around the world helped us to become more attentive, the way that Andronicus challenged me and many others challenged me so that I would grow and I would be more focused on what's going on around me and showing that I've been a little lax and not observant enough in things around me, that I put myself in some serious predicaments. And so likewise, we can all learn from these things. We're all growing, but I almost feel like there's a personal celebration from these transmissions. I rate all these right before the show, or I have been for the past, maybe 6 months or so. Typically, I used to write a couple days before. But recently, the past 6 months or so, it's been on the day of, because I wanted to have everything really up to date and what's happening. And as I could say, as said earlier, there's a theme here and there's something that we can feel good about. And this doesn't mean it's the end of the road, but actually, the challenges that we had before are not necessarily required because we've acquired them. But we can now step into more advanced challenges, which may or may not be harder. They just may be more refining in how that we are formulating our open heart and spiritual essence and integrating it into our higher truth. So allowing this whole process to happen. So I feel very celebratory today. I feel really good. Yeah, and it's great. And I've seen it in the chat room. Yeah, I agree, Saffron. It is awesome. It's good news for all of us. I did want to see, JP, MagicMoon we'd like to have him finish the poem from last week that we weren't able to do. And I don't know if there's a call-in number that you can put in there, but that would be great if we can do that.
One moment. Let me see if I can use my magic wand to bring him into the call.
Metallic one. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Now, let's see. Did it work? Did it work? Did it work? Martin, are you there?
I am, yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh,
brilliant.
wonderful.
Yay. Yay. Anyway, yeah, so, without further ado, the stage is yours.
Okay, I'm not sure what to do. I put some poems on, earlier in the week, and I came up with a song, yesterday about Meetis, so I kind of give it a go and do it. I haven't actually been listening like really that long, so I kind of like, don't know where all the characters are from and everything, but I listened to one like, Jessica first met Andronicus, and like, I got an idea of like when he was sitting in a prison cell and his planet was being overtaken by reptilians, so I can read that for you if you want, and then do a song.
Okay, it's
That would be
really,
wonderful.
yeah.
And
There's one thing is right. Number one is everybody else on the call must mute when Martin's call is. And Martin, is it possible you can bring yourself closer to the mic or the mic closer to you? Because you get this kind of slightly sounding like you're walking across the water sound. If you can be more close mic, the better.
Is that better?
Oh, that's a lot better. Can you?
Okay.
There we go. That's a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. I'll read this poem then first. It's pretty miserable, but you know, I'm good at writing miserable stuff. So here goes.
okay. But Martin, just quickly, where are you from?
Well, I might be from another planet originally, but this time I live in Daventry in Northamptonshire. I think JP's
Okay.
probably been there.
Wonderful. I just wanted you to introduce yourself and thank you for sharing your poetry with us. So here you go. I'm gonna mute my mic and it's all yours.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Yeah, here goes. I will watch my friend die here tomorrow. Another one died here yesterday. Their guns, their laser swords, their atomic rays. I watch my people shake in fear as more Venkala arrive here each day. They round us up. They put the outspoken here with me in a dark cell. Some say they're actually going to eat us. Please don't let our people, our children come to this. I hope they choke on our blood and we taste pretty bad. As I sit here in my prison cell, how long has it been now? Weeks, months, maybe a year. They will not break me, but that thought seems to get weaker each day. As I, Andronicus, feel so alone, I'm gonna die here, and these reptilian beings will eat the meat from my bones. Okay.
Wow.
Now that was Andronicus when I first met him, and he was in that prison cell, and the Venkala, the reptilians had taken over his planet, created all sorts of radiation and imprisoned everyone, gave them a number. They were no longer a free will entity, and used scalar energy to manipulate them. So yeah, very, very wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I've got another one I can read quickly and then do a song.
Okay.
But I just want to say that it also reminded me of the feelings of Lyrans that were also taken by the Vinkala or the Dracos. So this is a shared experience from your own, probably from your own kind of past history as well, Martin. That was what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe, because I kind of, well, no, I don't like snakes, so. But yeah, I kind of feel that there's something there. I think that maybe somewhere that had dealings with, like reptilian type beings, or maybe I was on Lyra with JP.
We all were.
I was listening to him. I was listening to him say, like, when he was talking about when he was on Lyra, kind of got a vision at some time, sort of then. So maybe that's kind of where it's from.
Yeah, a shared experience, a shared trauma, or let's say a shared training, where we leap into the mouth of the shark. So, again, can you move closer to your mic, and we get a nice thick fat signal, and excellent. So you got more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do this one. This kind of like, I kind of feel like Andronicus was like, in his prison cell, and now he's kind of woke up a bit. Now he's kind of like, things are changing. I will someday soon reach out to this universe, or maybe the next one. These walls of iron and stone cannot contain me. My mind will be strong. There is a higher power that I, Andronicus, can now see, that will have them reptilians run scared of me. In the darkness where every day is night, I see a bright golden light, one that will help me. I'm gonna do this. Yes. With help or alone, I, Andronicus, will set my people free. I will rid my planet of these Venkala lizard men. Their mind control does no longer work on me. I would rather go down, fallen hero, than stay here and wallow in self-pity. Let's first tell my galaxy, then travel to the Milky Way. I have heard there are planets there called Earth and Mars that are not too far away. I will take the fight first back to them, go to their world, a planet somewhere in a system called Draco. I, Andronicus, will lead 1,000 men, maybe go it alone, but I will make one thing right. That's the Venkala who always stay at home. Okay.
Fabulous.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Fabulous.
intense, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Now,
The emotion.
we want. I think, we need to get a good mic to you and record that nicely. That's a fun
Yeah.
thought. It's like, how do we get a good mic to this guy? Because you got delivery. You got the delivery, man.
I used to do a bit of performance poetry, so I kind of.
Yeah, I think so. Slam.
I've got some earphones, but they're not. The mic's not really that good, so the computer mic.
Mic, you never know. Sometimes they're better. Sometimes these little mics, it's a make or break thing with the electret. So, Jess, you've got 15 minutes left for your show before we pass on to other realms, other dimensions.
Martin, was there another song or was there anything else that you want to share?
Yeah, I can do it quickly if you have time.
Yes.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Clearer?
That's much clearer.
JP, is that
yes,
clearer?
much clearer. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
So tell us what this is.
It's just kind of, I was writing some poems and like, I thought I'd do a song about Meetis. I have an idea, in medieval times he was a bit of like a bard or a minstrel, or he'd just turn up and play his songs. So, and he was kind of like a bit of a good time person. So I kind of wrote this.
Okay.
I'm not great, by the way, so don't expect anything brilliant, but here goes. Meetis, he liked to live in England and France. He sailed on the friendships to many a new land. He sang and he played with the English lords. He was a real troubadour. Meetis, he was just a traveling man. Through the dimensions of time, he would go wherever he can. 'Cause Meetis, he was just a traveling man. Hey, hey, Meetis, what do you say? Let's go down by the river today. Drink some wine and share some stories of the olden times. 'Cause together we can sing those medieval blues. Meetis, he was just a traveling man. Through space and time, he would go wherever he can. 'Cause Meetis, he was just a traveling man. Hey, hey, Meetis, he was just a traveling man. There goes.
The Lords of Skype were not kind to you, I have to say.
All right.
Again, we need a better mic.
I could give it another go if I get a better mic.
Yeah. We'll maybe have a chat about that or something. Find a way of doing it. There's a what's called an automatic ducker that is going on there that is just does not flatter everything. So, but thank you anyone. Thank you very much.
That's good. Thanks.
Thank you. Someone says you sound like Bryan Adams. As Paul said that.
All right. I normally get like Eddie Vader or something. So I can do Pearl Jam as well, but So thanks anyway. Thanks. I
Thank
can
you
come
for
back
joining
up when I
us.
get that mic.
Yeah, I hope to see you in the Zoom room.
Yeah, I'll give that a go. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Martin. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks, JP, Jessica.
God bless you.
Hey, thank you.
So, 10...
Viking, you still there with us?
Yeah, what came to me here was you said that Illysium was saying that we're in for a new change, right?
Yes.
Remember months back, Helios said that March was the month that things were going to start happening.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yep. And this is kind of like the calm before the storm here. One of the things that I've been monitoring has been the sun for the past two years, and the KP index is off the chart. I've never seen it so radical in my entire time monitoring this particular aspect of the sun. So we are being bombarded with just intense magnetic waves right now. I know my dreams have been crazy. They've been insane. I go into these hyper dimensions when I sleep. And the way this works is as you start to get these ideas, you start to get these just concepts or epiphanies of who you are on a higher level, or areas in your life that need to be cleared, or areas in your life that are no longer serving you. And by bringing them into your conscious awareness and actually validating that you do have a higher aspect of reflection, then what happens again is in your dream state is when you start to really process this information and bring it to light. And so this is a really powerful time right now, because this galactic wave that's hitting us right now will affect your waking and dream state in paramount ways. They're becoming about every 2 weeks. So just look at this as a window of opportunity right now.
So, JP, were you going to say something? I cut you off, I think, earlier.
No, not really. But I just wanted to say, that, yeah, there's so much, more, of you today. It's brilliant. You did, you did that, Illysia just so beautifully. You really brought the energy across cleanly with confidence. And this is another, it's like, yeah, you definitely brought yourself a step up, in how you've been projecting over the shows. It's brilliant. So well done.
Well, I've discovered that there's a group that's beyond the Series A and B. They're deeper out, and I'm not sure quite how far out, but they seem to be quite a bit older or more sage-like and overseers, as opposed to what the whole gamut of the early Egyptian influences were, which seem to have more agendas and more grandeur and that sort of thing, whereas I find that Illysia is very light and very pure and very welcoming to everyone, to helping everyone, as opposed to competitive.
Yeah, inclusive, yeah.
Yeah, she's very inclusive.
Ray
and
too. Yeah.
There was another one that I've been communicating with in that same area in my class, and she goes by the name of Erasmus. And maybe in time I'll be able to share with that. Right now it's in a private group, so the things that are transpiring are not able to be shared. But similar, there's landmarks of things happening, and this week was a landmark according to Erasmus as well. So whatever is unfolding here and releasing and opening up is affecting us as a whole and lifting whatever has weighed us down and kept us on this 3D plane is changing. So it's complementing the ascension. It's allowing and helping us to resurface back to where we should be. But apparently we've not gotten to this level before. I think it's thrilling.
This, I was talking about it. I can't remember who I was talking. I think I was talking on Muggs' show. So many different places I've been saying things. But it's great to be able to put it all together here, because this is a real nugget. This truly is the moment of truth, right? In a physical plane way, that the eclipses of the sun and the moon show when the lineup is flat. And then we have transits of Venus and everything like that, and everything's flat, which means everything's lined up not only horizontally, not only like in terms of in the same quadrant or same segment of the galaxy, but also vertically, in terms of ascension. So everything is flat. Now, when a wheel is completely like you got a bicycle wheel, you take it to the bicycle repairman, and he makes the wheel, and this is the technical term, true, which means it's completely a flat disc, and so in a very real physical plane way, we are at the moment of truth, in that because we've had this solar eclipse, lunar eclipse thing in the last month. This is a moment. It's rare, because it's like when everything's lining up. And when everything's lining up, that's like when you declutch your vehicle, so they can change the gears on your lorry or on your truck, you call them, that has gears. You press the clutch in and everything comes to zero, and then you move into the next gear. So I thoroughly agree. This is the moment that we've been planning for, waiting for. All of our pieces have been coming together. We've been doing all these soul retrievals and fragment retrievals and everything's starting to come together. And all you have to remember is to breathe. Breathe in through your nose, and that'll help you right through it. It's like we're going through a birthing, and it's a sort of, ways of, allowing your body to cool down and relax is the most important thing. Thank you. End of public service announcement.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I think, like I said, we were naturally just trying to collect all our pieces, and this part comes up that you really can't go into the other dimension unless you're whole. You can have aspects of you lingering in this other field. So it's really crucial that, it's crucial that you get into the Ho'oponopono, the forgiveness. Forgiveness also starts allowing you to reconnect. And, if you haven't done that, allowing that whole energy field to be in the right frequency. And so letting go of those things that are troubling you. Going over the different simple practice of sitting down and just, what comes to your mind that's upsetting you, and then releasing it one at a time. I'll tell you, it will be like lifting this heavy burden off you. Let it go, because all it's doing is holding you down. It's not affecting the other person. It's affecting you. And what you want to do is create a lighter physical body, lighter light body. And, people are, we do need to support ourselves. We do need to have a home. We do need to have everything. But, as many have said, and even, remember conversations with Audrey, who said, essentially, you're not going to be leaving with anything but your body. The ascension is taking things with you. So remember that these things are temporal. They're matter that's manifested. But we understand. I'm not telling anyone to, forget about your bank account, forget about everything. Because while you're hitting this paradigm, you have to, operate according to these guidelines. And until things shift, where we can do the Ubuntu system or some other type of form. But it's really an awareness that these things are just, they're objects, and our essence is the real value, the real gold, the real purity, the real power. And embrace that in one another, and embrace that, all of humanity is all interconnected, and all that there are good star beings out there supporting us along the way, like Illysia, like Andronicus, like Rhodan, like Meetis. And they're here to support us, Borkum, all of them. And, there's many others that want to see us achieve our goal of ascension. So, anyone else want to add to that? Are we down to 4? Here we go.
Okay,
Thank you. And those joining the Zoom room, thank you, Viking, for being on the show, MagicMoon, and JP. Join us in the Zoom room. The link is in the chat room. You go in there right now. Have a great day. See you next week.